Lions rush by. Patterson backpedals, delivers over the middle, and the catch is made by.
Nice pass to Nico Collins here on a big third down play. Let's look at Penn State and their pass rush here. So on the left side here, you're going to have this defensive tackle going to the outside here, trying to get both Bredesen and Runyon engaged here. Defensive end will be looping towards this A-gap on the right side of the line. Defensive end will be crashing to the inside here as the defensive tackle goes to the outside. Again, trying to get both Mayfield here and Onwenu to engage him to open up this A-gap. And then you have this defensive back coming off the edge. So a lot of action coming on this right side. Naturally, that'll leave some open room on the left side of the line over this way, especially with Haskins, the running back. So Michigan does a really good job actually shifting with it. So Bredesen hands it off to Runyon pretty well on this side of the line here. And then they do a really good job handling on the right side as well. So everyone has someone accounted for. I would say when you could have done a little bit better job here. 18 is getting a free rush here. And then on the outside, you do have a defensive back coming upfield here, getting towards Patterson. So Patterson does a really nice job of recognizing this and skating out to his left here. So that's a good job by him to recognize the pressure, buy himself another second for the throw. As far as routes, first of all, notice that the eyes of Patterson is looking to this side of the field, so it's likely looking at the safety. But you have Nico Collins coming. Whoa, that's bad. It's coming out on this post route, kind of a post-cross route, I think. Eubanks is on an out route. Ronnie Bell is coming across the middle of the field here. Then on the outside, you have DPJ just on a go route. So since Patterson looked over here, he saw none of these routes are really coming open, right? You have this guy in his zone. This guy's going to have DPJ over the top. Crossing route should be covered by these two gentlemen. So now he's shifting over to where this guy is and where this guy is. That'll determine where Nico Collins will be open and whether or not he will. He does a good job shifting. Good job with a throw on target, first down.
Roaring crowd, Lions bring pressure. Clutch throw across the middle.
Another nice throw here from Patterson across the middle to Eubanks. Similar sort of stunts here from from Penn State's defensive line on a four-person pass rush here. Defensive tackle again is going to the outside, trying to free up this defensive end coming across the A-gap. And then a similar sort of action here where the defensive end is actually going to be crashing inside late. He's going to come upfield and then crash in late before the defensive tackle kind of loops around. So this one's a little bit more longer developing than on the left side of the line. And then this middle linebacker here has Charbonnet one-on-one in pass coverage. So let's see how Michigan does this. Really nice job on the left side here of this pass off. They do a really good job between both John Runyon Jr. and Bredesen. Bredesen keeps his head up, recognizes, passes off this defensive tackle, and then picks up the defensive end, so no issues here. The right side's a little bit trickier. I think Mayfield gets a little too inside here, and that allows this defensive tackle to get around to the outside. He does recover late, but at this time, Patterson's already throwing the ball to Eubanks, so not a big deal, but still you'd like to see Mayfield do a little bit better. But like I said, everyone else is picking it up pretty decently. Looking at the routes real quick. On the outside, you just have go routes. It looks like from, I think, Ronnie Bell and I'm not sure who this is, honestly, but just go routes on the outside. Primary route here is an outside release slant route from Eubanks. And then I don't really know what DPJ is doing here. He's just kind of doing a sit route right here. Doesn't actually look like a route too much. It's just kind of hanging out there. But clear out routes on the outside. Primary route is to Eubanks across the middle. Really nice route here on setting up number 40. It's a mismatch against a linebacker here. Sets him up, knows the hips of the linebackers a little bit to the outside. That's just enough. Good plant here. And by this time, he's already, he's pretty fast for a tight end. That's too much time, as number 40 is only now opening his hips to run with him. Eubanks has a step or two, and he gets a nice pickup for about 15 yards here.
Fry and Josh Gaddis. Patterson on second down, takes off, has plenty of space, shows his running.
Nice scramble for Patterson here to pick up the first down. Simple pass rush from Penn State. Just four guys coming up, no stunts this time. Keeping 5 in for Michigan on the pass protection. Charbonnet's going out for a route, so he is not in pass protection here. So you'll see at the time of the throw coming up here, really clean pocket. Everyone's doing pretty well here. You could say actually that Mayfield is losing his battle right here a little late, but you know, that guy is probably at like 8 or 9 yard, probably 9 yard depths, not a big issue. Let's look at what Patterson's looking at before he ducks out, right? So he's looking probably at this safety, seeing his reaction, because I think you have Eubanks going on a seam route, and then you have Eric all kind of on this wheel go route. This guy does a good job kind of staying home, not really deciding on each one, so neither of these routes really seem to be an option. This could be kind of a post route as well for Eubanks. So given the safeties over here, the first couple reads don't appear to be too good of an option here. You could say Tariq Black's coming open on his post route here, but you do have the safety to deal with as well. We don't know what Nico Collins on the outside on the left here looks like, but that's not where Patterson is looking. So I think Nico Collins is probably doing an out route. He could be doing a hitch route as well. It's hard to say. Tariq Black's going on his post route here. And then I think you have either a deep post or a seam from Eubanks, and this kind of wheel clear out go route from Eric All. So I think it's the right call for Patterson here to duck out. His first read had more defenders than the routes, or it was a bad route combo for the coverage. Good job by Nico Collins here to block on 29 here to give some extra yardage for Patterson to pick up the first down.
Penn State brings heavy pressure. Ball gets out to Peoples-Jones.
Penn State sending the house on 3rd and 4. Really nice pickup for Michigan here. Defensive end, defensive tackle coming straight upfield, and then the middle linebacker looping towards the A-gap. Defensive tackle's going towards the offensive tackle to Mayfield. Defensive end is looping inside, and then you have number 11 coming to the outside. So it's a really tough ask for Charbonnet to get over to this side, but his eyes are looking at this. And this left side does perform really well. The right side has a little bit of trouble. But look at the left side here. Ruiz does the right call, all one-on-one blocking right here, and they all do a really nice job setting this pocket for Patterson. Let's rewind and look at the right side. So a good pass off for Onwenu, realizing he's going to have pressure as this guy crosses his face. Mayfield's got a really tough decision. Does he pick up the outside guy? Does he stay inside? He's kind of in the middle of two guys right here. Charbonnet does recognize he has to get over here. I'd like to see Charbonnet kind of coming here and then just planting. He kind of comes this way and hesitates, and that allows this defensive back to get around to the outside a little bit more than I would like. And he's a little late diagnosing that. Luckily, the ball is already about to be thrown, so it isn't that big of a deal. Looking at the routes, top of the screen, it's hard to say exactly what Nico Collins and Ronnie Bell are running here, but they're kind of clearing out. You're going to have Eubanks just kind of on this quick slant, trying to just clear out this defensive back, and then DPJ is running this angle route. So he's kind of following the same path that Eubanks is. The key here is that this is the defensive back on DPJ. It's a really tough ask here because he's initially going to go outside with the motion that DPJ is going, and then he has to kind of cut up field here on this slant action, and it's a really tough ask. So the eyes all the way for Patterson are looking at this defensive back. This is for sure the number one option. And at the time of the throw, Tariq Black or DPJ is just getting out of his cut, so it's a really well-timed throw. Defensive back really doesn't have an opportunity to contest this pass. That's a lot of room. So it's a really good call with the pressure that Penn State was bringing.
Searching on him. Play action on first down. Patterson wants a downfield shot and lost it. Jump ball. Catch made.
Play action pass Nico Collins. Ooh boy, this penalty is garbage. So Penn State is sending 5 on the pass rush. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It actually looks like this guy is covering Eubanks here, who's staying in on pass protection, but he will end up coming, and Eubanks will pick up the block here. So play action pass. You also have Charbonnet coming off to the right side here, chipping 28, who is one-on-one with Jalen Mayfield. So everyone does a really good job. Right out of the line, all have one-on-one blocks. They're all doing well. Eubanks is holding his own here. You have an extra guy, John Runyon Jr. Bredesen's doing well. So you add that all up, and you got a really nice pocket and mass protect here for Patterson to go to his deep shot here to Nico Collins. Routes are hard to say. You got Eric All and DPJ going downfield, and then one-on-one coverage here on a go route from Nico Collins. DPJ will get held here by, I think, probably this defensive back, and that's what's also called, as well as the offensive pass interference on this large gentleman. So let's move forward here. So I think it's really kind of mind-boggling that this is called on Nico Collins. Right there you can see that, yes, this arm is kind of blocking off this defensive back, but the momentum is just taking that defensive back. Only now is he working back towards the ball. All this way, he was running this way on his own. So Nico Collins, while he did have his arm there, he wasn't shoving this defensive back this way. He was just working his arms in front of the receiver. Also, this defensive back has a hand attached to the jersey of Nico Collins. So I think given the height difference here, plus this ref cannot see this hand, otherwise you could say it's both ways. It's probably more so on the defensive back because he's holding this entire time. So just a bummer. I don't see any way that this should have been called offensive pass interference. I don't think anyone with any football knowledge would call that offensive pass interference, and that's about a 50-yard difference here because it was offsetting penalties instead of having the ball down at the 15-yard line.
Second and long. Patterson gets it out quickly. Catch made by Collins, who's up to tackle. Nico Collins has room.
Pretty elaborate blitz here from Penn State. Defensive lineman, defensive end, defensive tackle kind of coming down, especially this defensive tackle. This guy wants to occupy both of these offensive linemen, and that's to open up number 11 on a looping blitz out on the C gap here. On the right side here, you're going to have this defensive tackle trying to get Onwenu one-on-one, trying to get this matchup. This guy's going to loop hard out this to get Mayfield out on the right side here in this one-on-one, and that's trying to open up number 13 through here. Michigan diagnoses this really, really well. So first, let's look at the right side. So you got one-on-one blocks here. Onwenu, Mayfield, Haskins recognizes this and picks up this. So this is a really good right side. I'm more impressed with the left side here. So this is a really tough pass off. It's a double pass off because you have this guy looping around the outside. So Ruiz recognizes this, gets this guy, this defensive tackle coming inside. Bredesen wisely passes him off, recognizes this guy coming across his face. He's going to reroute, get John Runyon's guy, which pushes John Runyon out to the outside for this looper. So that's a really, really tough job. They execute it really well, Bredesen especially, to pick this guy up and Runyon to recognize that he has someone coming to his outside. That's really, really well done. Routes are hard to tell here. I think DPJ is coming on some sort of slant route here. Ronnie Bell's just going. Eubanks in this H-back position kind of going on this out route. And then you have the hitch down the bottom of the screen from Nico Collins that gets thrown to here. So, again, look at this pass off. Really nice pocket here, and everyone's accounted for. That's a really, really good job. Huge improvement from last week even. So, actually, this was kind of like an out route, I guess. But maybe like an out hitch route. I'm not exactly sure what the name convention of that is. So, it's a really good route here. Sets up the defensive back well. Stops on a dime. Only thing I would like to see more out of Collins here, he had a lot of open space, you see. If he can challenge this, instead of just running upfield, if he can try to break away from this defensive back and cut inside, if he's able to get free, that's likely a touchdown. Still a really nice route, really nice pickup.
For a change, Penn State doesn't blitz, barreling into the secondary.
Inside zone read for Michigan here on 1st and 15. Michigan is running the zone read here, so it's either a give to Haskins up the middle or a keep to the outside. These wide receivers with Ronnie Bell, is this Ronnie Bell? Yeah. Are running kind of this fake bubble screen. So if Patterson were to keep, I think this is mainly just to get these defensive backs preoccupied with all of this motion at the top of the screen, just to get them out of here. Michigan is reading this player here. This is your conflict player that Patterson is reading, whether to give or to keep. And that leaves only 4 defenders really in the box with this safety falling back into coverage. So you have 4 to block with 5 blockers. So that's winning numbers in the box here. So if we look at how Michigan blocks this, so this defender comes upfield quite a bit. So give read, I believe, is correct. On the right side, you have a one-on-one block with Mayfield that he does well with, and then you have 2 double teams, one on the left between Runyon and Bredesen on the defensive tackle, and one on the right side with Ruiz and Onwenu. So let's look how the double teams work. Good movement here. Actually, Not a whole lot of movement, but they stay engaged, right? And you see Ruiz falling off for the linebacker. But decent, it's not a big hole here. You got just enough here on the defensive end. You have this kind of path here, and this, whether he cuts this way or this way for Haskins, is based off of this block. So really good seal off here on the right side. Could have done better on the left side here, but there's enough room for Haskins to get through. So really good job, as I mentioned, the wall off between Ruiz and Onwenu here. Onwenu holds the block really well and turns him to the outside. And then Ruiz gets to the second level really well. This is what springs this play for 10 yards. Ruiz gets definitively on one side of this linebacker, and that allows Haskins to make the correct cut to the left side. So really maximize the amount of yards that he got on this play. And it was just a good call and a good cut from Haskins.
Charbonnet gets the edge.
Touchdown for Charbonnet on outside power here. Let's look at Penn State. So these two defenders we don't really need to pay attention to, given the action of the play is to the right. They are not blocked. So of the other defenders, they're just simply going upfield and run defense here. Two main guys to pay attention to are the linebackers right here. I think this is actually a cornerback, but he comes to the outside. He'll need to be accounted for, and this linebacker actually shoots this B gap, which helps this play out as well. So let's move forward here. So let's look at the play design for Michigan. So you have these wide receivers blocking, coming out like it's a screen here, and that's just to occupy both of these cornerbacks and this safety. Get the safety flowing away, so you only have these people to deal with. Okay, on the line, you're going to have Mayfield coming out here, picking up outside block, and you're going to have Ruiz coming across. He makes a key block here. He notices this blitz from this linebacker, and he's going to stonewall him. He won't continue pulling. He'll stop it there. That gives enough room for Charbonnet to the outside. And the other blocks, kind of double team here on the backside defensive end, just sealing this off. And when you hear is just covering up the gap left from Ruiz's pull. And similar with Eubanks, this is a key block as well. Eubanks might have got away with a hold. Let's see this play develop. So yeah, right here you can see this hand, this right hand, he's got to watch that. He might get called for that in the future. And this is the key point here, Ruiz stopping on this. And then you have Mayfield one-on-one, and that opens up the outside here. So let's look at a different angle here. So yeah, really good job by Ruiz to look inside. He figures, this is his path, but he needs to stop this gap right here. And then you got one-on-one. Mayfield does a good job. Eubanks obviously setting the outside here as well. So good play design. Number 11 made a mistake. He should have been flowing here to this gap instead of where he did. So they kind of played into this play for Michigan, but good pickup regardless.
Michigan is making a push here. Patterson has time and delivers in people's zones.
Nice pitching catch, DPJ here. Penn State is going to bring 5. Penn State's going to bring 5 with their pressure. Number 11 off the edge. They're going to run a twist here. Defensive tackle's going to the outside. Defensive end looping around, replacing where this defensive tackle originated. And then the right side of the defensive line is just going straight up field. So no real pressure on Patterson. You can see a really nice pocket here. So let's go through the individual matchups real quick. So one-on-one on the left side of the offensive line, both Runyon and Bredesen do really well. You can see the start of the twist here. So 54 has come across this way, and 18 is now pushing towards Ruiz, who has his eyes on him. He's handling it appropriately. And then Mayfield does a good job getting enough depth. This defender likes to really loop around, so he gets him at about 10 yards, and that's appropriate. So here's the end of the twist that I was talking about. Both have it handled pretty well. So it's a really clean pocket. Looking at the routes here, Eubanks from the H-back is going on a little out route here. You're going to have an inside release out route for DPJ here. It's a little more rounded than this, but that's what he's running. And then you have an inside release in route just a little later and shallower from Ronnie Bell. And then I think you have a deep post here from Nico Collins. Hard to say, though, for sure. You'll notice that all the way Patterson is looking at DPJ. So he's probably looking at what this safety is doing. That's a very curved line here, but he's probably looking at what this safety is. He sees that his hips are probably this way, so this route is going to be there right away. I really like how Shea Patterson times this. He's throwing it at the time of the cut, so it's not necessarily clear to this defensive back until he sees this cut from DPJ, and that creates a lot of separation here. Plenty of room to catch for DPJ, and a nice pickup.
Begin at the 10-yard line. Pressure off the edge is shown. It's picked up well, and Patterson escapes. And he's still running.
Penn State brings 6 on pressure, and a nice scramble from Shea Patterson here on first down. Number 6 is coming off the edge. You're going to have this defensive tackle crashing inside, and this defensive end looping around. And then 2 more straight-up rushers, defensive tackle and defensive end on the right side of the Michigan offensive line. So Michigan really handles this well. You know, you look at this pocket, especially the right side one-on-one, they're doing really well. It's creating this really nice pocket for Patterson. You have Haskins, who was here in pass protection, it looks like, and he's just going out for a route because everyone is handling their blocks really well. So the entire left side of the line is downloading this exact blitz. So really good job from the left tackle here, Runyon, to get enough depth here to handle number 6. And then left guard Bredesen does a really good job handling this twist, and Ruiz is ready for this defensive end coming to his face. And again, they do really well. Number 6 is only getting about 10-yard depth, which is, again, what you want. Everyone else is handling their block. Really good pocket. So let's look at the routes next and what Patterson's kind of looking at. He finds an open field here, but he's looking right away at this route. So it's the same route combos. Let me actually back up here real quick. So it's the same route combos from the last play I covered. So you got a post route deep here from Nico Collins, this weird sort of late developing crossing route from Tariq Black. You're going to have this sudden out route from Nick Eubanks, and then this sort of deeper flag out route kind of from Eric All. So you got Patterson looking at the route that Eric All was right away. He didn't like what he saw and took off and just saw a lot of wide open field. So it's a good job. You know, his first read wasn't there. He knew that the blitz was picked up. Time to get out of dodge. His internal clock was correct.
Patterson from the 10 gets the ball out quickly in the far side, and Bell.
Screenplay to Ronnie Bell goes for about 11 yards. Really simple play design here for Michigan. It's just a simple quick throw out to Ronnie Bell. Eric All will pick up this outside linebacker, and then 2 wide receivers have their defensive backs in one-on-one blocks. Ronnie Bell is going to go here, catch it, and then go up the sideline. So it's just all about executing these blocks. This guy, deep safety, will be unblocked, so you will expect him to make the tackle, but this is all about essentially a run play, but using the outside, spreading out the defense a little bit. So nothing to really note from the blocking here. You got Ben Mason in the backfield coming across to, I guess, try to delay here, but, you know, given it's such a quick play, it's more just try to get him out of the path a little bit. So let's look at the blocks here. Eric All gets a really nice pop here on the outside linebacker. I'd like to see him work upfield a little bit more. He does give the inside away a little bit. Same here, I think, with Tariq Black. But good blocks overall. You know, they engage and they stay on the blocks the entire time. So that's a good sign, especially Nico Collins does a good job here to give Ronnie Bell a couple extra yards there. So just real quick, looking at the blocks again. So, you know, you want to see Eric All on the inside a little bit more here. Same with Tariq Black. You know, this hand, you got to watch that. Refs may call that next time. But overall, everyone picked up their blocks. They got the guys that they were assigned to, and it's an 11-yard gain for Ronnie Bell.
2nd and 6, midway third quarter. Ball to Bell on this side. Good blocks on the edge, and Ronnie Bell.
Another screen to Ronnie Bell for a big pickup here. So we've actually covered this run play that Michigan's running here a bit before. So running on the backside, or not running, running on the backside is just picking up this edge blocker, just trying to get him out of the way for this pass to Ronnie Bell. And then they're feigning this sort of power right, outside power with these pulls from Bredesen and Onwenu this side. And then all of this run blocking that's happening here, this is just to occupy these defenders. Let me undo that. these defenders as much as possible, as well as trying to get this guy going this way. Because Michigan on the outside is going to have Tariq Black associated with this defensive back and Nico Collins with this guy. So then that gives Ronnie Bell all of this room to operate, and the only guys that should theoretically make a play are these flowers after this initial action. So that's the play design. Nice little fake, quick throw. Timing's all good. It's all there. You see you hung up 36 a little bit with this run motion, so he's going to be late getting out here. And then it's all down to your blocks on the outside. So Tariq Black does a really nice job with a cut block here on the wide receiver. I thought this was illegal, but it isn't. I checked the rule book here. So really nice cut block that really opens, that takes it from a couple yard gain to what Ronnie Bell makes of it. Furthermore, you got Nico Collins with a really good block engaging here on the left. That gives room for Ronnie Bell to make his cut to the inside here. And again, these last two guys are just flowers from, this is the linebacker that was delayed. So this is, 15 yards downfield. So again, really nice block from Tariq Black, Nico Collins engaged, and then the rest is just Ronnie Bell making a guy miss, picking up an extra 5 yards.
Scribe, see if they go back to that.
Charbonnet breaks the tackle and makes the cut.
Inside zone here to Charbonnet for about 14 yards. Michigan has these 7 defenders to deal with, or these 7 blockers, to deal with these 6 defenders for Penn State. So numbers advantages there. Look at Patterson's eyes here. He's looking at this outside linebacker, trying to keep him to stay here, thinking he's being read for a potential pass to the outside, and that's going to allow Charbonnet to get upfield without this linebacker being a factor, at least not early on here. So looking at the blocking, Eubanks doesn't really have a responsibility here. We got one-on-one blocks here on the right side, right guard, right tackle, and center. They're all blocking down to their right. The huge blocks here are going to be from Bredesen. He's coming to the second level for this flowing backside linebacker. And then you're going to have Runyon initially getting 18 on a little pop before getting out to number 13. Then Eric All needs to replace here on number 18 and pick him up, and that's really where this hole is going to form. So nothing too much to talk about this side here. You can see that the left guard and left tackle are identifying their blocks here where Charbonnet is coming. Eric All needs to watch this hand. If he keeps it there, he might get called. I'm actually surprised this ref didn't see this hand here, but he could get called for holding in the future. So yeah, here you see number 13 dives this way. That makes an easy block here for Runyon. Bredesen's doing a good job balling off number 40. Arm tackle for 18 on Charbonnet, but he stays strong and runs through it, getting to the second level. These 3 guys are occupied by this sort of bubble action that Michigan has run in the past, so this is a nice run option off of that. And the rest is just good running from Charbonnet, strong running. He picks up probably an additional 5 or 6 yards with his power.
Finish this drive off in the red zone.
Penn State crowding the center of the line. Charbonnet breaks free.
Penn State calls the perfectly wrong blitz for the play call here for Michigan. So Michigan is running, again, inside zone here. And the blocks to the second level are the most difficult part about this play. And thankfully, Penn State makes it easy by bringing both their linebackers up so that any reach blocks here on the zone blocking doesn't need to go very far. So let's look at the blocking scheme for Michigan. They're going to leave this guy on the outside. Patterson is going to be reading him, hoping that he stays for a give. I don't think it's a true option play here. So that leaves everyone slanting to the right. So, Runyon's picking up the defensive end. 74, Bredesen is going to pick up this blitzing linebacker. Similarly on Ruiz on this blitzing linebacker. That leaves Onwenu here on defensive tackle. And Mayfield one-on-one on the outside defensive end here. So, like I said, it makes it really easy. Both Bredesen and Ruiz essentially get their second level blocks right away. And that creates this huge open lane here for Charbonnet off the handoff, which he takes advantage of. And again, no one else has a chance here. And it also really helps that Penn State is all slanting the way of the play as well. So again, the blitz from their linebackers plus the slant here really just makes this an easy play. This is so much space in this hole for Charbonnet to get a bunch of yards, and he thankfully takes advantage of it. On the other side of the field over here, he had a little bubble action with blocking to occupy the other defensive backs. So I don't think I showed that here. Oh, I did. Yep. So here's, again, Ronnie Bell with blocking linebacker, or blocking wide receivers, and that's all to get these defensive backs occupied and not reacting to this run in time, which it works. So nice, strong running from Charbonnet again, getting in the end zone.
Get it out on the edge. Slipping a tackle. And racing down the sidelines as Bell makes another cut.
Ronnie Bell with an incredible run after the catch here. So little fake inside here. It actually would have worked if Haskins was given here, but it's a called screen. So this is the blocking you'll have up front. Penn State is sending two guys off the edge, and they're actually not going to, Michigan's not going to block either one of them, given how quick the throw is out there. And Patterson actually cuts this mesh point short to get the pass, given that there are two defenders here, which is definitely the right call. But no issues. I'm kind of bummed that this wasn't like a hot call for this run, since you're already blocking for it, because of the linebackers completely vacating this side of the field. But it's a called screen, so let's look at the blocking here. You're gonna have one-on-one with Black and I think Nico Collins. No, DPJ. So DPJ really gets away with a hold here. But I also want to actually step back and look at Ronnie Bell, him catching this ball. So he catches it, and then he just plants right there. And that number 7 has no chance to make that tackle. He actually does way more impressive than I thought he was. That's just an incredible jump stop from Ronnie Bell there. But yeah, I think DPJ gets away with a bit of a hold here on Lamont Wade. And he's yelling about it. Similar, it's hard to see what Tariq Black does here, but it looks like he was kind of tripping his guy. So, I mean, it's good to get those two guys, blocking. Might have gotten away with one, and then the rest is just Ronnie Bell just being ridiculous, making people miss.
Patterson, pump fake, looking, dips it short, catch made.
Huge pass from Patterson on 4th and 4 here. Penn State is only sending 4 on pressure. Here, 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 and here. Michigan is keeping in 5. Plus you have Haskins in pass protection, but he's really going out for a route. So number 18 actually gets around Mayfield here on the right. So that adds a scare here for Patterson, who has to step up in the pocket. He does a good job selling a pump fake here. So everyone else does a good job. You could argue that Unwaiting should be helping here, but he also has a guy that Ruiz is dealing with. Left side does fine. So only big thing here is actually this should be called a hold as well. He does let it go. So if you pause it, I'm sure you could call almost every offensive lineman block a hold. So he does let that go. It's a good job by Patterson to step up and move to his right here to give himself a little bit more time. Looking at routes, you have just a go route here from DPJ. You got an out route here from Ronnie Bell. You have a sort of hitch route in the middle of the field here, and then a late crossing route from Collins. So the first initial read looks to be on 29. Looking what he's doing, he is following DPJ, but it's not initially clear. So I'm thinking he was reading him to determine whether to go to Ronnie Bell or DPJ. Ronnie Bell would come open right now, but he has to redirect here given this pressure, so that's why I think he comes off of it. So he buys himself some time. Now he's looking at this defender. This is the right call now that he's looking here. Haskins has a guy associated with him. So it's the right call getting it to Nico Collins without the pressure. I think Ronnie Bell could have potentially had a big play.